It's 3 a.m. over the Nevada desert. An Air Force radar tech at Nellis AFB watches a single-track streak across his scope. The speed and altitude look familiar within two territory until the data starts to go weird. The contact stops responding like a normal jet, its radar return shrinks. Infrared sensors barely see it. On internal chat someone jokes, "Must be the ghost again." Out on a dry lake bed, far from the main base, a matte black aircraft rolls into a hangar. No tail flash. No squadron markings. Just a strange angular outline under floodlights and a team of engineers moving fast. The pilot pulls off their helmet, walks past a large sign with no public designation. Internally, some people call it NGAD. Online, rumor mills have given it a different, unofficial name. F-47, the fighter that will quietly replace the F-22. Let's be clear up front. There is no official U.S. Air Force designation F-47 for America's next fighter. What people are really talking about is the Next Generation Air Dominance, NGAD, program, a deeply classified sixth-generation fighter effort that will eventually take over the F-22's job. You're watching Elite U.S Millitary, and today we're going inside everything we can know about that secret jet. How it is likely to outperform the Raptor, the tech it brings to a China fight, and why the Air Force is willing to spend eye-watering money to build a small fleet of aircraft more advanced than anything else in the sky. All of this is based on open sources, official hints, and educated analysis. No leaks, no classified data. But you're going to see why America's rivals are already worried about a fighter they haven't even seen clearly yet. To understand the so-called F-47, you have to start with the F-22. The Raptor was the world's first operational fifth-generation fighter. Stealthy, super-cruising, hyper-maneuverable, built to own the sky over Soviet-style threats. It entered service in the mid-2000s and has never been defeated in air-to-air combat. But there are two big problems. First, numbers. Production ended at just 187 aircraft. After training, test, and attrition, the number of combat-coded F-22s is lower still. At the time, U.S. planners thought the Cold War was over for good. They didn't expect a near-peer adversary like China to deploy hundreds of J-20 stealth fighters and build a dense anti-access area denial bubble in the Western Pacific. Second, age and architecture. The F-22 stealth is still world-class, but it was designed with 1980s and early 1990s computing. Its software and hardware are notoriously hard to upgrade. The jet is maintenance-intensive and expensive per flight hour. The Air Force has already said publicly, the Raptor will begin leaving service in the 2030s. That successor is not the F-35. The Lightning II is a multi-role strike fighter, optimized for many missions but not built to be a pure air dominance monster like the Raptor. So the US started something new, next-generation air dominance. NGAD isn't just F-22 but better. It's a family of systems, with a manned fighter at the core, what the internet likes to call F-37s, surrounded by advanced sensors, weapons, and uncrewed loyal Wingman drones. The goal, build a fighter that can survive and win in the most lethal airspace in history, inside the range of China's latest SAMs, facing swarms of J-20s and J-16s under constant electronic attack and still kill what needs killing. That means more than just better stealth. It means range, networking, adaptability, and raw processing power that make even the F-22 look old school. So what does this V-47 probably look like? We don't have official blueprints, but we can piece together clues from Air Force statements, industry demos, and classified budget documents. The airframe will almost certainly be larger than an F-22. Why? Because the Pacific is huge. To fight China, the US needs fighters that can launch from bases far from the front line, Guam, Northern Australia, maybe even American soil, and still reach the fight without constantly guzzling fuel from vulnerable tankers. Expect big internal fuel volume and a design optimized for both range and stealth. Blended wing body lines, careful edge alignment, and deep internal bays for weapons. You may see something that looks like a cross between a very sleek F-22 and a shrunken stealth bomber, emphasis on smooth curves and minimal protrusions. Underneath that skin, the secret jet will likely fly with adaptive cycle engines, sometimes called XA-100 or XA-101 class. These aren't just more powerful. They can change how they work in flight. In one mode, they operate like a normal turbojet for speed and thrust. In another, they send more air through a bypass for fuel efficiency and range. The payoff could be 30% more range and 20% more thrust compared to today's engines. Put that together and you get a fighter that can super cruise fly faster than Mach 1 without afterburner, sprint when it needs to pursue or run, and still have enough gas to operate far from home. Stealth will be broadband. 5th-gen fighters are hard to see on certain radar bands. 6th-gen designs aim to shrink their signature across a wider set of frequencies, including infrared. Expect aggressive IR signature management, deeply buried engines, shielded exhausts, and clever cooling to make heat-seeking missiles' job much harder. Maneuverability won't be ignored either. In fact, early Air Force comments on NGAD suggest designers are not trading away agility. Think high-lift devices, powerful control surfaces, and possibly even thrust vectoring, but integrated in ways that don't compromise stealth or range. Is this all speculative? Yes, but it's informed speculation based on where U.S. engine programs, stealth materials, and test ranges are putting their money. The F-47 isn't a fantasy superjet. It's what happens when you take everything the F-22 got right, everything the F-35 improved, and push all of it into a frame built for the Pacific, not Central Europe.
Where the F-22's successor really becomes a super weapon, just in how it flies, it's in what it sees and how it commands. The NGAD fighter is expected to carry a sensor suite far beyond what we see on the F-22 or even the latest F-35 blocks. That means a massive AESA radar with wide field of regard, low probability of intercept modes, and the ability to jam and hack as well as detect. Distributed infrared and electro-optical sensors wrapped around the jet, giving 360-degree coverage like the F-35's DAS, but more sensitive and with better processing. Passive RF sensors that can listen for enemy radars and communications across a wide spectrum. All of that data would be dumped into fusion engines, software that combines radar, IR, electronic, and off-board information into one coherent picture. If the F-35 is a mobile data center, NGAD is envisioned as the cloud hub in the sky. Then there's AI. Not Skynet flies the plane AI, but tactical assistance, algorithms that help with threat ranking, route planning, sensor management, and cooperative engagements. Think of a smart co-pilot that suggests, these 3 tracks are your real problem. Here's an opening in the SAM coverage. If you fire now, your weapon has the best chance. But the real revolution is in how this fighter will work with uncrewed wingmen. The Air Force is openly testing collaborative combat aircraft, CCA, loyal wingman drones that can fly alongside manned fighters, carrying sensors, weapons, or jammers. In concept art and speeches, NGAD is always shown in the middle of a formation that includes smaller, cheaper unmanned systems. In a fight over the South China Sea that might look like this, the NGAD fighter, the so-called F-47, stays slightly back from the most lethal threat rings, stealthy and aware. Ahead of it, 2 or 3 CCAs sprint forward, reconning enemy fighters and surface-to-air missile sites. One drone carries extra missiles. Another carries electronic warfare payloads. A third acts as a decoy or sensor node. The human pilot in the F-47 doesn't have to micromanage every drone. AI handlers keep the swarm in formation and respond to high-level commands. Screen left, jam this radar, prosecute that target. Now the single-manned fighter isn't just one jet. It is the brain of a small air combat wolfpack, extending its reach, confusing enemy defenses, and taking risk off the pilot's shoulders. For Chinese or Russian planners, that's terrifying. They're not just trying to target one stealthy airframe. They're trying to deal with a moving, thinking constellation of sensors and shooters, some manned, some not, all networked. The F-22 was built to be a lone apex predator. Its replacement is being built to be a pack leader.
So when does this secret jet actually replace the F-22? And what does replace really mean? Officially, the Air Force says it wants NGAD's manned fighter operational in the early to mid-2030s. Behind closed doors, test articles, possibly full-scale demonstrators, have already flown. In 2020, the Air Force stunned observers by announcing it had flown a full-scale NGAD demonstrator in secret. Since then, details have been almost non-existent, which tells you just how classified this program is. Cost is another clue. Unclassified budget lines associated with NGAD hint at eye-watering unit prices. Numbers north of $200 million per jet are often quoted. Senior leaders have even said publicly that NGAD will likely be more expensive per aircraft than anything in the current inventory. That tells you something important. The Air Force does not plan to buy thousands of these, or even hundreds and hundreds. NGAD will probably be a small, elite fleet, just like the F-22, but with far more ability to amplify the rest of the force through drones and networks. So when analysts say 47 replaces F-22, they don't. Teaming the Raptors vanish, and we suddenly see swarms of next-gen fighters on day one. They mean that as NGAD enters service and ramps up, F-22 squadrons will begin to retire. The Raptor's mission air dominance against the toughest threats will slowly transfer to this new jet and its uncrewed teammates. The Raptor becomes the legend. The F-47 becomes the new spear point. There are risks. Complexity breeds delays. Costs could soar. Congress might balk. Rivals are not standing still. China and Russia are pursuing their own 6th-gen concepts. But for now, the US has a head start. It has decades of stealth and sensor fusion experience. It has the industrial base. And most importantly, it has combat experience that tells it exactly what it wants from the next air dominance fighter. So when you see clickbait about a secret F-47 that will replace the F-22, understand what's really behind it. There is no official F-47, but there is NGAD, a real funded, deeply classified program that will eventually put a new apex predator in the sky. It will likely fly farther and longer than the F-22, see more, process more, and share more, command drones as part of its normal mission, and push even deeper into the most dangerous airspace on Earth. The F-22 changed what a fighter could be in the 1990s. Its successor will change what an air combat system looks like in the 2030s. You've been watching Elite U.S. Millitary. If you want to follow up where we pit this NGAD 47 concept against China's J-20 and future J-20 projects in a simulated first day of war scenario, tell us in the comments. Type F-47 so we know you made it all the way to the end and you're ready for a deeper war game. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to Elite U.S. Millitary, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive from stealth jets, to classify programs shaping the future of American air dominance right now.